The Afghan Taliban opening an office in Qatar to facilitate peace talks with the Afghan and U.S. governments. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Lunch Break. I'm Kelsey Hubbard. The news comes as a blast in Kabul mars the formal handover of security from the U.S.-led coalition to Afghan forces. With more, we're joined by WSJ reporter Nathan Hodge in Kabul. Nathan, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So as we're looking at this formal ceremony that is the handover of the U.S.-led coalition to Afghanistan forces, how ready are they to step up and take control?
Well, today's ceremony really was supposed to be the big news of the day until we found out that the Taliban was opening this office to help facilitate the beginnings, maybe, of the peace process. One of the big questions for all of the observers here is how the peace process will play out over the current fighting season, whether that could have any impact at all. But really, the question for a lot of observers is exactly that. How ready are Afghan forces? They're going to continue to be dependent on international assistance, both to just fund their payroll, as well as over the next few months, they're going to still need a lot of coalition support for everything from medical evacuation to air support. So this is going to be a really interesting kind of few months ahead.
Especially since today's attack was the third in about 10 days. So everyone, of course, will be watching to see how they step forward. But it's such an interesting announcement of this office that they're opening to facilitate these talks. The talks broke down last year when the Taliban said they would not be engaging in that. So how significant is this move that, in fact, the talks could be reopening?
Well, President Hamid Karzai said that they were going to be sending representatives, and apparently this is going to be representatives from Afghanistan's High Peace Council. And this is a really interesting move because in the past, the Taliban have said that essentially the Karzai regime are Western puppets and they wouldn't deal directly with them. But the willingness to basically have members of the High Peace Council, Afghanistan's High Peace Council, sitting down with members of the Taliban is quite an interesting new development.
But Karzai said he's suspicious of the move and the announcement of the office. So how does that play into this?
Well, President Karzai was asked about this today, and he basically stated a position that's been said before, that he believes peace talks and the peace process need to actually happen in Afghanistan. So while these talks will start, or at least we'll see the talks about talks starting, he still insists that the actual peace process needs to take place on Afghan soil. And that's hard to say whether or not that would be a deal breaker or not.
Right. And we know that the U.S. mission will be ended or is scheduled to end in Afghanistan by the end of 2014. What role then will the U.S. troops play, if any, in helping the Afghans secure their nation going forward?
Well, first of all, that's still a year and a half away. Even though Afghans officially took the lead for security around the country today in this ceremony, the coalition is still going to provide a lot of crucial support, a lot of backup, and a lot of firepower. And Afghanistan, for instance, still has a really small air force that's not very capable. It's still going to be years. In fact, it'll be a long time after 2014 until that air force is fully equipped and ready to stand on its own. And that's partially going to be the outcome of negotiations that are ongoing between Washington and Kabul about what kind of post-2014 presence there would be. Some kind of small residual training presence and a small counterterrorism mission, but that has yet to be hammered out.
Yeah, certainly a lot more details to be ironed out, but certainly an interesting step today. Thank you, Nathan, for joining us with that from Kabul.
Thank you.